Thank you very much indeed.
Thank you. Now, I'm going to invite the gentleman first of all in the back row, who put his hand up earlier on. Is that correct? Did you indicate you wanted to ask a question? Yes. Please, sir, if you want to come forward. And then I'll go to the gentleman on the front row. Just, thank you. Is it Nigel Moore?
It's Nigel Moore, yes. Thank you very much. I just have a few very brief questions. You mentioned that you were not seeking, in terms of dredging and the statutory depths to which you had to keep them at the moment, that you weren't seeking to extend that or deepen it or whatever. I just wanted to clarify that there's in fact nothing in this bill that is going to do anything like that in any other improvement or extension of navigable waterways beyond that which is within your present statutory obligations.
Sorry, no, I'm not sure I understand the question.
You made mention of an existing statutory obligation regarding depth of dredging.
Yes. Yep.
In certain lengths. I'm just wanting to clarify that that actually applies across the board. There's nothing new in this bill as to new improvements on the waterways or an extension of navigable waterways. There's nothing that goes beyond what you're
in terms of navigation depth.
And yeah, or depth or quality or extension. There's nothing new.
I'm not aware. Well, particularly in relation to navigation depth, not aware of there being. And again, Mr. Smith would be better placed than I to answer any questions in relation to the exact detail.
Yes. I apologise for interrupting. Mr. Moore is right. There's no proposal to extend navigable waters or depth in this bill. That's correct.
Yes.
And that's just a matter of reading the bill.
Yeah, that's as simple as it's
Sorry.
intended to be. Thank you. I hope you're not going to take this next one as being a little trite, but you were taken to slide 17, and you were asked what that area would be like.
Right, yes.
If you did not have to maintain navigation.
Yes.
What I would like you to say is, what would that area be like if you did not have to maintain drainage?
It would be a large bowl filled with water.
So the navigation wouldn't need locks, etc. You would have better navigation. In fact, as you had,
it would be a very large. It would be a very large reservoir.
I think residents may have something to say about that.
Yes.
Indeed, the residents would have a lot to say about it. As a sometime resident myself, I would too.
Yes.
As a boat owner, I know that should that ghastly situation ever occur, I do have an alternative, because I have a boat as well.
Yeah.
But the point I think that is important to see is that prior to the very first drainage attempts, there was a considerable number of navigable waterways which the very first attempts at drainage severely compromised, to the point where the major cities objected to any further proposals to improve the drainage because it was going to compromise the navigability of ships to and fro there and would affect their commercial trade. And that therefore the protections that we have in the historical bills for navigation are a result of trying to protect that which was put in place to ameliorate the damage that had originally been done. If you weren't in existence and this was a waterway, then the boats would not need your input at all.
I
hope that's not sounding
probably wouldn't
silly
be
or trite.
Yes, yeah. Probably wouldn't be my take on it, but I am not a historian. and I don't profess to be. I'm aware that the drainage arrangements for this area are unrecognisable compared to what they might have been pre-1600s. And I'm aware that there were several attempts made by varying degrees. Beyond that, and what we have currently, I can't really answer any questions.
Okay, I'd just say that I don't think we need to go into drainage pre-1600 or whatever, so I think that if we have questions pertaining to the legislation.
Yes, the effect as far as it pertains to the legislation is to the reason why there are protections and demands that the drainage authority does also protect the navigation. They are clauses that Parliament has put into place in the successive centuries of legislation to ensure that although there is work that is permitted to be done because it is going to be hugely beneficial, not just to the private landowners concerned, but to the national economy as well. Recognising that this is, in some ways, if there wasn't the parliamentary intervention to protect the navigation interests as well, then they would die and that would be wrong. So the legislation includes the protection in recognition of the importance of
I get your broad point, that's fine. Is there any further questions you want to ask Mr. Thomas?
Just as a matter of interest in terms of a point you made regarding having to pump water up from the land to what had been a river and which is now very much above the surrounding land.
Yes.
I mean, that is something that's a difficulty throughout the Fens, is it not? It's I would just like to get it clarified. I mean, I'm sure you understand why has the river ended up above the surrounding land?
Because as I think I mentioned earlier, a large part of the area is peatland. As soon as you expose peat to air, it starts to oxidise and it decomposes because it is effectively vegetable matter. So the land has shrunk dramatically, and you're talking about 20 feet drop in land level at its most extreme.
Yeah, and that was really the point that I was wanting to get across. The reason why you have an extra expense, if you like, involved in pumping water up into the rivers that existed,
yes,
is because of the drainage.
Indeed,
and,
yes.
And that's it's sort of like grabbing a tiger by the tail. Once you've started in on this, you are committed to carrying on with it, unless you want it all to go even deeper underwater than it was before. But yeah, that was just the point that I wanted to make.
Thank you very much, Nigel. Thank you. Can I ask the gentleman on the front row to